Welcome into the In the Money podcast for KeenelandSelect.com for opening day at Keeneland, Friday, October 4th. We're going to take a look at the late pick four each day here on these podcasts throughout the fall meet. Tom Leach, along with Jim Goodman, Keeneland's Director of Wagering Development. Two stakes races, so we will start there on the Friday card. In the eighth race, it's the Grade 2 Stall Keenan Ogden Phoenix for the sprinters. And as will be the theme probably throughout the meet, big, well-matched field. So, Jim, take us through the Phoenix. Who do you like?
Well, I like a couple of horses here, and I don't like the defending champion. Promises Fulfilled, the 7-horse, won this race last year by a head over Whitmore and beat Limousine Liberal, who probably was the best horse in the race, just got trapped down inside. But Promises Fulfilled got an easy lead last year. I don't think that's going to happen in this field. I'm going to go with a little bit of a price here. Diamond Oops is the 5-horse for Julian Lake Peru, 8-1 on the morning line. Comes out of the Vanderbilt at Saratoga. Gave him a little rest after that. B and Cone has done well at Gulfstream this summer. So Diamond Oops ran behind Imperial Hint. Got beat by 4 lengths, but Imperial Hint came back and won a Grade 1 this past weekend at Belmont. So I think Diamond Oops is going in the right direction here, and with the other horses in here getting a lot of play, I think you might get 7 or 8-1 in here. So I'm going to take a price here with the B and Cone trained Diamond Oops. Recruiting ready for Stanley Huff. Ran a great race at Churchill last time out. He loves Churchill, and he hadn't gotten on board in 2 races at Keeneland. Has a hard time putting 2 great races together, but if he puts another one back-to-back with Churchill's race on September 13th, he's going to be tough. Got to put Whitmore in there just out of back class. I don't think he's quite what he was last year and earlier this year at Oakland. The last 2 races have been very disappointing for Whitmore. And then I'll put Promises Fulfilled in the pick 4 just because there is a chance that these other jockeys may outsmart themselves and not go for the lead. But if they do that, they're just they're giving themselves no chance to win because Promises Fulfilled could take them wire to wire. Heartwood is a long shot that has a shot. Well-matched field. I think the Stoll Keenan Ogden Phoenix is going to be the first stakes race of the meet, and I think it's going to be a great race right down to the finish. But Diamond Oops is my pick.
I ended up going to Whitmore, and one of the angles was the rider change to Joel Rosario. Sometimes a combination just really fits. I remember Beach Patrol a few years ago was having trouble finishing races, kept getting beat in having narrow losses, and they put Joel on the horse, and he's such a great finisher that Beach Patrol went on a little bit of a winning streak. And I think he's going to be a great fit for Whitmore, who's a finishing horse, and this horse has run well fresh before and has run well at Keeneland before, as you mentioned in this race a year ago. So if, with all those things, if there's still that A game that is still there for Whitmore, then I think we'll see it in the Phoenix. Maybe it's not, but I'm going to take a shot that it is and take Whitmore for the win. But I'll spread when we get to the pick 4, and not as much as I would like to keep the ticket affordable. I've got to put Promises Fulfilled on there. I have the same skepticism that you do, but he's 2 for 2 at Keeneland. Couple of prices that I liked a little bit. Engage, one up at Parks, and now makes the second start in the Asmussen barn, and could improve off that race up at Parks. And this has always been a horse that has been right there on the fringe of breaking through on a big one. And then American Pastime has down on the rail and has some good speed and can, but doesn't have to be on the lead. And I think coming out of a nice effort last time in California could be in the mix here with a nice draw. I'll throw in Recruiting Ready. That last race was so good, I'd feel stupid if I left him off the pick 4, but I don't like him here. He's 0 for 2 at Keeneland and a lot of speed in the race. So I'm going to stop there on the pick 4, but Diamond Oops I'd like to throw in as well, but I'm going to keep the ticket down to what I would consider kind of an acceptable level when we get to the pick 4. The Grade 1 Darley Alcibiades for 2-year-old fillies is the 9th race at a mile and a 16th, and you've got the horse from Mark Cassie's barn, Perfect Alibi, that certainly has the class edge on these with what she did up at Saratoga. But the speed figures didn't overwhelm me, so I'm going to try to beat her in here with a maiden, actually, Sequin, for Wesley Ward. This horse went for $500,000 at a 2-year-old sale. And I was in these 2-year-old races this time of year, especially. I like the horses that are coming out of 2-year-old sales because I think, especially if they were very pricey, if they were a lot higher than the stud fee or just very pricey in general, owners are looking to recoup some of that investment. So Sequin ran well at Kentucky Downs and was trying to close, and that track became so biased because of the lack of rain that you just couldn't close and win down there as the meet went on. So she actually ran well, I thought, to just narrowly lose. She's worked well at Keeneland. So for a price, and it's Wesley Ward, so we know what he does with 2-year-olds, I'm going to try Sequin in here for the win. But when we get to the pick 4, I'm going to use both of the Cassie horses, Western Taffy coming in from Canada, who ran well in a stake, Perfect Alibi. Michelin for Mike Stidham and Godolphin is a stakes winner, albeit on turf, but the pedigree certainly says that she ought to be able to handle dirt just fine. And then the other one I want to throw in is Alondra, one first time out for Shug McGahee. And Shug's, a guy that's not going to rush him. And this horse off one maiden win shows up in a grade 1 at Keeneland. So that tells me that he has a high opinion of this filly. So I'm going to throw her on the ticket as well. How about you for the Darley Alcibiades?
And I have a high opinion of that filly as well. I thought Shug McGahee's Alondra is really live in here. I thought he's not trying to win at Saratoga to maiden special weight, but she won at 7 furlongs, and she was tested all the way, and she outlasted a couple of other fillies that were right with her, and she led wire to wire, stretching out to mile 16th, going up to grade 1. But all these fillies are moving up from a lot less races, except for Perfect Alibi. And so I think Alondra has a chance to move forward here, and Shug has had a good year, and I think he's a great horseman, obviously. So I think he's going to have a big shot in here. Perfect Alibi is the logical favorite, but I'm like you. I don't like a Beyer progression of 66, 69, 70, 71. Even though she's won 2 graded stakes at Saratoga, that tells me that second graded stakes, a Spinaway, may not have been that tough because it should have taken better than a 71 to win it. So I think the Beyer progressions are not indicating that she's going to take a huge move forward, and these other horses have a real chance to overtake her. The British Idiom for Brad Cox won her maiden race at Saratoga by 3.5 and was drawing away at the end and was very impressive. I think she's got a big shot in here as well. I can't argue with Sequin for Wesley Ward. I can't argue with, I don't think you mentioned her, Air of Light, broke her maiden at Churchill last out for Ray Peru for Norm Cassie, and I think she's got a shot. So it's a wide open race. The Alcibiades is one of those races you get some big prices in. So I'm going to make it reasonable when I get to the pick 4, but I'm not going to feel comfortable getting through this leg of the pick 4 with only, I think I'm going to take 3.
Yeah, I'd really love to take all, but
that ticket got to be in 4 digits when you take all.
Exactly. So it's just not feasible. So the pick 4 now we want to move to, and it's bookended with 2-year-old fillies going a mile on the turf in the 7th and the 10th. So this race was split into 2. So let's give me your pick 4 ticket, starting in the 7th and then wrapping up in the 10th with those maiden 2-year-old fillies races around the 2 stakes.
Yeah, we got a great racing secretary named Ben Huffman, and when I was down there in his office and he was putting the card together for Friday, he said, I got a maiden special weight with 40 in it. And so I didn't know he was going to split it and make it both ends of the pick 4. It makes it really tough because if you had a single in the stakes races, it might not be so bad, but it's very difficult to make this ticket affordable. I almost singled Kraft Woods in the first race in the maiden special weight. I went back and watched her race at Kentucky Downs. I was impressed with it the first time I watched it, but the second time I watched it, she had a perfect trip, and she really didn't have an excuse. Enola Gay, a pretty good filly, ran her down in the stretch, but she was 4th, 5th the whole way around, not a horse in front of her, and didn't have a problem down the stretch. She's going to be the favorite in here. She's 2-1 morning line, and if you were going to make an inexpensive ticket, I would suggest singling her. But I've got some other fillies in here that I thought had a shot. Urban Fairy Tale for Ian Wilkes off that good run at Kentucky Downs, finished up well. Regal Passage, a first-time starter for Cherie DeVoe. Kraft Woods, obviously. Inveterate for Dermot Magner. Ran a good race at Belmont, just barely got beat. And She Can't Sing, a second-timer for Chris Block. So I'm going to go 5 deep here, 2, 5, 6, 10, 12. In the Phoenix, I'm going to use the 4 horses I talked about. Whitmore, the 3, Recruiting Ready, the 4, Diamond Oops, the 5, my top choice, and Promises Fulfilled, the 7. So 3, 4, 5, 7. In the Alcibiades, I'm going to stick with 3. I'm going to go Alandra, the 4, British Idiom, the 6, and Perfect Alibi, the 7. So 3 deep there. And then the last race, Osaka Girl is probably my pick for Brian Lynch and Castellano off that Churchill run. But she's the 6 horse, and I'm going to also use the Alstall Meritatin, the 3, and the 10 horse across for Giroux and Brad Cox. So my pick 4 ticket is 2, 5, 6, 10, 12 with 3, 4, 5, 7 with 4, 6, 7 with 3, 6, 10, and that's $90. Obviously, if you wanted to single the Kraft Woods, the 6 horse in the first leg, you can go a lot deeper in the others, and that might be the way I do it when I play it and I look at the odds on the board on that 7th race. You'll see which horses are live. But that's my pick 4 ticket. Going to be tough.
I actually, the horse I picked on top in the 7th race is Kenny McPeek's filly, Snaffle, just because McPeek is so good at stretching horses out. And Le Peru rides, and I think he rides this turf course really well. But Kraft Woods, I started to stop with just those 2. I think Kraft Woods is certainly the most likely winner on paper. I threw in Broadway Lady. She may not draw in, so that might save you some money on the ticket. But just Mark Cassey, points for these Keeneland meets and a first timer. I'm going to throw Broadway Lady on the ticket if she draws in from the 13 spot. The 12 you mentioned, I'm not going to use, but I think it's dangerous for Chris Block. Another one I'd throw out there in this race for people to consider is the 8 Morak. DeVito does really well with 2-year-olds, and that horse could be dangerous at a big price. But I'm going to use 6, 9, and 13 in the first leg. All the ones I mentioned in the Phoenix, 1, 3, 4, 7, 8. In the Alcibiades, same deal. All the ones that I mentioned, 4, 5, 7, 9, 10. Would like to go deeper, but then in the last race, I'm going to go with the 6 and the 10, Osaka Girl, and then the horse I'd actually picked to win across. I like that one race that she did have, and it's Cox and Giroux at Keeneland, and that's a strong, potent combination. So the 6 and 10 in the last leg. So that's a $75 ticket for 50 cents. And if Broadway Lady doesn't draw in and that cuts the ticket down, you could add maybe Diamond Oops in the Phoenix. That'd be one I would like to have that I don't have on there to keep the ticket affordable. So $75 ticket for me. We'll be doing these podcasts every day of the fall meet, and wish you best of luck on the opening day card. And if you have to work, can't get away and play hooky, then get that Keeneland Select account funded in time for the opening weekend card at Keeneland. For Jim Goodman, I'm Tom Leach, and this is the In the Money Podcast.